As you know, lovely viewers, the behind-the-scenes family footage of Lee Min-ho, Joong Hye-kyo, and their baby wasn't meant for the world. It was soft, private, and warm. Everything fans had always dreamed of seeing but never imagined would be shared. And while the public melted, cheered, cried, and celebrated this beautiful new chapter in Hye-kyo's life, one person out there watched it with a heart heavier than anyone expected. Joong-ki. The moment rumors started swirling that he had seen the video, fans tried to brush it off. Maybe it's nothing, they said. Maybe he hasn't watched it. But then a close acquaintance of his, someone he trusts deeply, revealed something that shocked everyone. They said Joong-ki didn't just watch the footage. He sat through the entire thing. Alone. Quiet. Ill. The source described him as looking like someone who had been hit by a memory he wasn't prepared for. And lovely viewers, you know those moments when the past crashes into the present so suddenly you can barely breathe? That's exactly what happened to him. The first part that reportedly shook him wasn't even dramatic. It wasn't the balcony moment, or the kitchen moment, or even the part where Lee Min-ho whispered his love. It was something much simpler. Joong Hye-kyo laughing in that soft, unfiltered way she only does when she's completely at ease. According to the insider, the moment he heard her laughter, the real one, not the red carpet laugh, not the interview laugh, but the private one, his expression changed. His eyes softened. His shoulders dropped. It was like he was reliving something he didn't know he still remembered. Because once upon a time, lovely viewers, that laughter used to fill his home. And when he saw her holding her baby so gently, so naturally, so beautifully, something inside him reportedly cracked. Not out of jealousy but out of reflection, regret, realization. Feeling the weight of a chapter in his life that had closed, but clearly hadn't left him completely. The most emotional reaction came when he saw Lee Min-ho holding the baby and whispering, "I love you. I love you. I love you." Witnesses say Joong-ki paused the video at that exact moment. He didn't click away. He didn't shut his phone. He paused, stared, and breathed, slow, heavy, painful breaths. It wasn't about Lee Min-ho. It wasn't even about the baby. It was about what that scene symbolized. The family Joong Hye-kyo has now, the peace she found, the love she embraced, the chapter she began once the pages of their own story had closed. An insider shared that he whispered something under his breath while watching that part. They didn't reveal the full sentence, but they confirmed the first two words. Good for. Good for who? Good for her. Good for them. Good for the life she built without him. No one knows exactly what he said, but the tone was unmistakable. Soft, defeated, and full of emotions he thought he had left behind. Lovely viewers, imagine seeing someone you once shared everything with. Dreams, love, laughter, a future. Now living an entirely new life, glowing in ways you maybe wished you could have given them. These are human moments. Raw moments. And that's exactly why fans around the world are saying his reaction will break you. But it didn't stop there. The source revealed something even more heartbreaking. After watching the footage, Joong-ki reportedly got up from his seat, walked to the window, and stayed there for several minutes. Not moving, not speaking, just looking out as if trying to steady himself. Because the video didn't just remind him of the love they once shared. It reminded him of the love she has now. A love that looks peaceful. A love that looks whole. A love that doesn't include him. What struck fans even harder was what he reportedly said next. The source, who hesitated before sharing this detail, explained that Joong-ki murmured, "She looks happy." 3 simple words. But behind them, a world of acceptance. A world of release. A world of quiet heartbreak. Because lovely viewers, sometimes the most emotional reaction isn't anger. It isn't jealousy. It isn't bitterness. Sometimes it's acceptance. Acceptance of what was. Acceptance of what wasn't. Acceptance of what is now. And that's what makes his reaction even more emotional. It wasn't dramatic or explosive. It was deeply human. Later that same evening, the insider said he played a certain piano melody he used to love. A calm, slow tune he used to play when he needed to think or reflect. He played it softly, almost absent-mindedly, as if letting the notes carry the emotions he couldn't speak aloud. Was it sadness? Was it closure? Was it nostalgia? Maybe it was all three. One person present during that private moment said, "He didn't cry, but the room felt like it did." Lovely viewers, the internet is torn. Some fans feel sympathy for Joong-ki, touched by his emotional honesty. Others say his reaction shows growth, proof that he has learned to let go with maturity and grace. And some believe the video reminded him that real love, even after heartbreak, can continue in new forms. But what everyone agrees on is this: watching your past find happiness without you is one of the quietest pains a person can feel. And Joong-ki felt it deeply. But here's the part that truly stunned fans. After playing the piano, after sitting with his emotions, after letting the wave of memories wash over him, he reportedly whispered something else, this time with a faint smile. She deserves it. Not bitterness, not regret, not longing, just acceptance. Lovely viewers, this is the kind of emotional growth that hits you in the gut. The kind that makes you admire someone not for their strength, but for their vulnerability. Because watching the woman you once loved start a beautiful family with someone else, and choosing to respond with grace, that's rare. That's powerful. As the video continued to circulate online, something changed in the atmosphere around Joong-ki. It wasn't just shock anymore. It was a deep, unbearable stillness. One that made even his closest friend, who had been teasing him about checking his phone too often, suddenly stop and study his face. And viewers, if you could have seen that moment up close, you would understand why people still talk about Joong-ki's emotional transparency as one of the things that made millions love him in the first place. His expression didn't harden. It softened. And sometimes, that kind of softness hurts more than anger ever could. He replayed the clip again, slowly this time, listening carefully to the sound of Hye-kyo's laughter, a sound he knew too well, a sound that once pulled him out of bad days, lifted him through sleepless nights, and made him believe that happiness could be simple. And now that sound was echoing through the lens of another life, one that moved on without him. And then it happened, the moment that hit him the hardest. Baby. The little one whose face was only partially visible, cradled securely in Hye-kyo's arms as Lee Min-ho leaned in to make the child laugh. That tiny giggle, soft, sweet, completely innocent, was the sound that broke him. His hand, which had been holding the phone tightly, loosened until the phone almost slipped from his grip. His friend quickly reached out to steady both the device and Joong-ki, who suddenly looked like he needed to sit down. "Hyung, are you okay?" his friend whispered, though he already knew the answer. Joong-ki swallowed hard. His lips trembled, not dramatically, not for attention, just enough for someone close to notice. That baby's giggle triggered something he wasn't prepared to feel, something deeply human, deeply painful, and deeply revealing. Regret. Not the kind of regret that eats at your pride, but the kind that tugs at your soul. The kind that whispers, "What if?" The kind you try to outrun but eventually confront. Especially when the past unexpectedly collides with the present in a viral video seen by millions. He blinked slowly, fighting emotions he thought he had mastered long ago. But memories have a funny way of resurfacing when you least expect them. Because in that moment, what he saw wasn't just a family video. He saw the life he once imagined with Hye-kyo. The quiet mornings, the shared laughter, the possibility of holding a child of their own. And viewers, let's be honest. Who wouldn't feel something watching the love of their life be happy in someone else's world? Even if you've moved on. Even if you've healed. Some emotions never fully disappear. They just settle somewhere deep, waiting to be stirred again. His friend, trying not to make the moment heavier, gently asked, "Do you regret anything?" Joong-ki didn't answer right away. Instead, he stared at the child in the video, wide-eyed, innocent, beautiful, and something in his gaze softened even more. It was the expression of a man who realized that life keeps moving, even when your heart hasn't completely caught up. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and rough, like someone trying not to break in front of another person. "I'm happy for her," he whispered. I really am. But right after saying those words, he quickly looked away, because the truth behind them was too complicated, too layered, too painful to unravel in front of anyone. And viewers, this is where emotions hit like a tidal wave. Because even though he said he was happy for her, the quiet crack in his voice told a different story. A story of love once cherished. A story of dreams once shared. A story of two people who once looked at each other the same way Lee Min-ho and Joong Hye-kyo now look at their child. As the video kept circulating, fans began picking up hints of his reaction from small details. His silence during a live stream, the subtle redness around his eyes during his next public appearance, the way he paused before answering any question related to happiness, love or family. People started whispering. Did he see the video? Why does he look sad? Is he okay? He didn't confirm anything publicly. He didn't deny it either. But he didn't have to. Sometimes the heart speaks even when the mouth remains silent. Later that night, when he was finally alone, he watched the video one last time. He didn't pause it. He didn't analyze it. He didn't try to guard himself. He simply let the moment wash over him. Every laugh, every smile, every tiny heartbeat of the child who symbolized a new chapter that didn't include him. A silent tear slipped down his cheek. Not out of anger, not out of jealousy, not out of resentment, but out of acceptance, out of love that once existed, out of memories that still mattered, out of healing that is ongoing, not complete, not perfect, but real. He whispered something softly, so softly even he might not have realized he said it aloud. She deserves to be happy. And viewers, whether you loved him or her, or both of them together, those words carried a weight that shook everyone who heard about it later. Because they weren't just words of closure. They were words of release. Words of maturity. Words of someone who, despite everything, never stopped wishing well for the person who once held his heart. The next morning, he posted something simple on social media. Not dramatic, not cryptic, just a line that made fans feel that emotional ache all over again. Some memories stay forever. No emojis, no context, just a truth capable of breaking and healing any heart. Lovely viewers, if you want me to continue this emotional journey with a deeper dive into how fans reacted, how Lee Min-ho and Joong Hye-kyo felt about the public attention, or how Joong-ki's next move shocked the entire internet, just tell me. Lovely viewers, from the moment Joong-ki posted those simple yet soul-heavy words, "Some memories stay forever," the entire internet froze. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't flashy, and it wasn't intended to make headlines. Yet it did. Within minutes, fans around the world began dissecting the post, threading it back to the viral family video, connecting dots that neither he nor anyone close to him had publicly confirmed. But that's the thing with emotions. Sometimes the smallest actions reveal the deepest truths. And for Joong-ki, that truth was quietly slipping out through a single sentence that carried the weight of an entire history. Behind the scenes, though, something much more personal was happening. After sharing that post, Joong-ki didn't linger on social media. He didn't wait for likes, comments, or sympathy. He took a slow breath, locked his phone, and simply sat on his couch in the dimly lit room. That silence pressed against him, thick enough to feel like a wall closing in. But instead of fighting it, he let himself sink into it. Because sometimes silence isn't empty. It's the space where the heart finally speaks. Lovely viewers, imagine him there, leaning back, eyes closed, and the faint glow of the city lights slipping through his curtains. He wasn't crying. Well, he wasn't breaking down. It wasn't that dramatic, and it wasn't that simple either. Instead, he was remembering, quietly, painfully, beautifully. The memories weren't attacking him. They were simply resurfacing, like old photographs found at the bottom of a drawer. Memories of laughter shared behind the scenes. Memories of silly inside jokes only the two of them ever understood. Memories of long nights comforting each other after stressful filming days. Memories of dreams shaped in whispers. And maybe, just maybe, memories of a future they once believed would last forever. But now that future belonged to someone else. As he sat there, A strange mix of acceptance and ache settled over him. He wasn't angry at Lee Min-ho. He wasn't bitter toward Joong Hye-kyo. But he was human. And humans feel, even when they know they should move on. Meanwhile, the internet was exploding. Fans were divided. Some expressed heartbreak on his behalf. Some defended his strength. Others started sending him messages about healing, love, and closure. And then there were those who believed he still had feelings for Joong Hye-kyo, a thought that stirred even more buzz and speculation. But in another part of the city, Lee Min-ho and Joong Hye-kyo were having their own private moment. They had seen the reactions online. They had heard the whispers. And although they didn't want to pay too much attention to it, they couldn't ignore the way fans were connecting the dots between their family video and Song Joong-ki's emotional post. Joong Hye-kyo, sitting on the sofa with her baby asleep on her shoulder, looked troubled. She knew Joong-ki well enough to know that if he reacted publicly, even subtly, then he must have felt something real, something deep, something raw. And even though she had moved on, even though she was building a new chapter with Lee Min-ho, a part of her still cared about Joong-ki's emotional well-being. Not romantically, not longingly, but respectfully. Because love may end, but compassion doesn't have to. She wiped a small tear under her eye, gently rocking her baby. Lee Min-ho, noticing her unease, sat beside her and held her free hand. He wasn't threatened. He wasn't jealous. He was simply present, knowing exactly what she needed. A quiet reassurance, not words, not explanations, just presence. That kind of understanding is rare, lovely viewers. And it's one of the reasons their fans adore them together. But as they sat there, a question lingered between them without ever being spoken. Should they reach out to Joong-ki privately? It wouldn't be inappropriate. It wouldn't be dramatic. It would simply be human. But at the same time, they didn't want to reopen old wounds or make things harder for anyone. So they decided to wait, trusting time to smooth out the emotional edges of the moment. But while they were waiting, something unexpected happened. Song Joong-ki received a message. Not from Joong Hye-kyo, not from Lee Min-ho, but from someone else close to the two of them. A mutual acquaintance who had seen the online chaos and felt concerned. The message wasn't long. It wasn't emotional. It simply asked, "Are you okay? I saw the post. Just checking in." Song Joong-ki stared at the message for a long moment. And then, slowly, he typed a response that revealed everything and nothing at the same time. "I'm okay. Just thinking." But lovely viewers, we all know that when someone says, "I'm okay," while thinking about their past, they're carrying feelings too heavy for words. They're carrying questions without answers. They're carrying closure that isn't fully closed. Later that evening, he went out for a late-night walk. No disguise. No hoodie. No attempt to hide from the world. He simply walked through the quiet streets, the cool breeze brushing his face. Every step felt like a grounding reminder that life keeps moving, whether you're ready or not. As he walked, he passed a small cafe that was just about to close. Something about the warm lights inside, the soft jazz playing, the faint smell of roasted coffee beans pulled him toward the door. The barista looked tired but friendly and didn't recognize him at first glance. And for once, that anonymity felt like a blessing. He ordered a simple latte and took a seat by the window. And as he watched people walking by, he realized something quietly transformative. He wasn't broken. He wasn't undone. He wasn't trapped in the past. He was simply feeling. And feeling wasn't a setback. It was a sign of life. A sign of healing. A sign of heart.